6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lal Mallavarachi and read by J. Yogaraj. First, the headlines. Minister Johnston Fernando calls for a report on the constructions of the Central Expressway. The Government Medical Officers Association says it supports the government's organic fertilizer policy. Another consignment of 1 million doses of Sinopharm vaccines will arrive today. Sri Lanka confirms 54 new COVID deaths, the highest toll in a single day. In news overseas, Srebrenica massacre, UN court rejects Larik genocide appeal. In sports, Sri Lanka will play against South Korea today in a qualifying match for Football World Cup 2022. And those are the headlines. Highways Minister Johnston Fernando directed the Highways Ministry to submit a report on the expressway from Kadawatha to Meerigama, expressing his dissatisfaction with its progress. The minister received the directive when he met with several members of the government and officials following the inclement weather-caused floods in the Gampar district. The minister said that the commissioning of the expressway was not carried out properly. The Highways Minister invited the officials to accompany him on a site visit to oversee the ongoing construction work. The minister further said that many issues have arisen over the construction work since unsuitable contractors have been hired under the I-Road project, and such contractors will be blacklisted. The minister said that the incomplete contracts will be handed over to Ministry's Construction Division. State Minister Channa Jayasumana says Sri Lanka would receive another consignment of 1 million doses of Sinopharm vaccines today. He told Parliament yesterday that 65,000 doses of Sputnik V vaccines would also be expected to reach Sri Lanka on Friday. The minister said that 15,000 doses of Sputnik V vaccine would be given as second dose to people in Gotatuwa, while the rest will be given to Kandy district. He also said that the World Health Organization had agreed to provide 264,000 doses of Covishield vaccines under the COVAX facility to be given as a second dose to the recipients of the Covishield vaccines donated under the COVAX facility earlier. Sri Lanka expects to receive 264,000 doses within the first 2 weeks of July. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Scan the Lanka QR code and make your payments with People's Pay mobile payment app from People's Bank.
The Department of Government Information says that Sri Lanka registered 54 more victims of COVID-19 yesterday, marking the highest number of deaths recorded in a single day. The latest fatalities have moved the country's death toll to 1,843. The Ministry of Health reports that 2,637 more persons have tested positive for coronavirus yesterday, increasing the total number of COVID-19 cases confirmed in the country thus far to 210,661. Presently, 30,613 infected patients are being treated at hospitals and treatment centers. Meanwhile, the number of total recoveries has reached 178,259. The Inspector General of Police, C.D. Vikramaratne, has instructed the Criminal Investigation Department to take appropriate action against individuals who publish false news, as it has become apparent that the public is being subjected to various hardships due to the news published on the internet and social media these days. The police media spokesman said these false and misleading news appear to be disrupting the day-to-day activities of the people and reported to be discouraging action taken to control COVID disease while negatively affecting the measure taken to control dengue. Therefore, the Sri Lanka Police has decided to investigate this matter and take action against those who publish such news and distribute it, among others. The IGP has instructed the CID to take appropriate action against those who publish false news on the internet these days. And that's local news.
Nobody tells time like this. So why do you still pay with cash when you have People's Pay mobile app from People's Bank? Scan the Lanka QR code and make your payments with People's Pay mobile payment app from People's Bank.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Government Medical Officers Association GMOA says it supports the government's organic fertilizer policy and its promotional drive. In Sri Lanka, farming using chemical fertilizers started in late 60s. It was stated at a time that to overcome a food shortage and maintain stocks, agriculture had to be uplifted using chemical fertilizers. Doctors say that this has led to an increase in non-communicable diseases. Meanwhile, the president of the Government Medical Officers Association, Dr. Anuruddha Padini, stated at a media briefing held in Colombo recently that there are many adverse effects of the use of a non-organic fertilizer. And that came to you in Top News.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Washlight, the Minister of Education, Professor G.L. Pidis, has decided to launch a program to provide new textbooks to children whose school textbooks have been destroyed due to the inclement weather condition in the country. Secretary to the Ministry, Professor Kapila Pereira, said that upon the children inform the principal of their school, the principal will inform the Ministry of Education through the divisional and zonal directors. He further said that the time given to apply for the admission of children to the first grade for the year 2021 has been extended for a period of 1 month from July 31st due to the prevailing COVID epidemic situation. And that came to you in Washlight. And in world news, Srebrenica massacre, UN court rejects Vladic genocide appeal. Jerusalem march through a Muslim quarter to go ahead. Unbelievable supergroup of whales caught on film in Australia. And those are the headlines. A former Bosnian Serb commander Ratko Mladic has lost his appeal against a 2017 conviction for genocide, war crimes and crimes against humanity. The UN court upheld the life sentence for his role in the killing of around 8,000 Bosnian Muslims, men and boys, in Srebrenica in 1995. The massacre in an enclave supposed to be under UN protection was the worst atrocity in Europe since World War II. The outgoing Israeli government has given the go-ahead for a march by religious nationalists, which was cancelled by organizers over fears it could trigger a new round of conflict. The flag march through the Muslim quarter of Jerusalem was originally due to take place tomorrow, but police rejected the original route. The march will now happen next Tuesday. When a drone pilot captured footage of an enormous group of whales off the New South Wales coast last year, it met scientists into a frenzy. A pod of that size, known as a supergroup, and the bubble net feeding behavior they were displaying had never been documented off Australia before. A research paper has now confirmed both extraordinary events. And that's world news. And in development news, the government will take measures to accelerate the development projects funded by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, in Sri Lanka, President's Media Division said. This was discussed at a meeting between the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Director of the USAID in Sri Lanka, Reed J. Archlam, held at the Presidential Secretariat recently. A number of development activities supported by USAID grants are already underway in the country. A massive development process has been planned in the country in line with the vision of prosperity policies. Accordingly, the President pointed out the need to more efficiently or effectively implement the development activities carried out by USAID grants. And that came to you in development news. And in sports, Sri Lanka national football team will play against South Korea in Goyang Stadium in a qualifying match for World Cup Tournament 2022 and Asian Olympic Games 2023. The match will begin at 4:30 p.m. Sri Lankan time. And that's sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
The Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval to sell essential food items which are not released from the port and confiscated by the Sri Lanka Customs to the public at a concessionary price by Lanka Satosa Limited. Lanka Satosa already implements a system to provide essential food items to the public at affordable prices without any shortage under the current COVID-19 pandemic situation.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
In economic news, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa calls on investors to explore the country's medical tourism industry, stating that the country's public healthcare system is accepted by globally accredited private hospitals and world-class, highly qualified and experienced medical professionals. Rajapaksa said Sri Lanka is well placed to benefit from the growing global medical tourism industry. And that came to you in economic news.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The Met Department says showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamu and northwestern provinces and in Galle, Matra, Nuwara and Kandy districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur at few places in Uva and eastern provinces during the evening or night. Fairly heavy falls, about 75 millimeters, can be expected at some places in the Sabaragamu province and in Galle, Matra, Nuwara and Kandy districts.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Before we wind up this news broadcast, let's look at the main points once again. Minister Johnston Fernando calls for a report on the constructions of the Central Expressway. The Government Medical Officers Association says it supports the government's organic fertilizer policy. Another consignment of 1 million doses of Sinopharm vaccines will arrive today. Sri Lanka confirms 54 new COVID deaths, the highest toll in a single day. News overseas, Srebrenica massacre. UN court rejects Ladakh genocide appeal. In sports, Sri Lanka will play against South Korea today in a qualifying match for Football World Cup 2022.